We've all heard the stats. About 2 weeks into our goal setting resolutions, 92% in one study gave up. 92%, that's hard to believe. And yet, think about how many times you set a goal or a New Year's resolution, and before you know it, you're not doing it. Like, you're initially really motivated, like let's say working out, or for me, it's like lifting weights, which is something that I know I need to do. I try to do. Once I'm doing it, I don't mind it, but it's getting to do it. Whereas yoga and elliptical are like no-brainers. And then before we know it, we're like, oh gosh, I'm not really doing it. So it's not as difficult to give up as we may think. And so the statistic does seem realistic. And yet, millionaires and super successful people somehow manage to stay the course. They manage to stay on track even when they feel like giving up. It's been something I have spent my entire life researching. And I've taken what I've learned from all the different millionaires and super successful people with amazing lives to learn what they do differently. And I packaged it together to really create my own process for goal setting. And the best news of all, my friends, is that anyone can do it. And today I'm going to share the exact process with you. So stay tuned. So hi and welcome. I'm Annette Bau, host of the Millionaire Insider. For over 30 years, I have been advising and researching the top 1% and 2% of millionaires to learn what people with amazing lives, money, a successful business, and great health and a life do differently. And now I'm providing you practical, easy to implement insights so that you can take your business, your life, and your money to the next level. And today we're diving into my goal setting process. You're going to love today's episode. So please remember to click subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified of future episodes. All materials and intellectual property in this episode are copywritten by themillionaireseries.com. This episode and the information we provide is not intended to replace any financial, health, or any type of advice, including investment, financial, retirement, estate planning, anything related to your health or your money. You've got to check with your own team of advisors based on your situation. If anyone's giving you advice without knowledge of your situation, it's probably not the best advisor for you. All international copyrights are reserved. So today we're diving into my goal setting process. For today's show notes and resources, go to millionaireseries.com/174. For all show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/WLI. Today's episode is brought to you by our very own results formula template. If you want to get results, which obviously if you're here listening on how to set goals, that's a key element. I have an entire download that I've done for you. It's free. You can just go to millionaireseries.com/RFT to download it. This template guide walks you step by step through to really create your own plan so that you can start getting results. Let's face it, if you want more success with your money, with your life, or with your business, or all above the above, you got to know how to get results, how to remove those blocks that are holding you back, and how to attract what you want in your life. And this resource shows you how. So again, millionaireseries.com/RFT. So the first thing you got to do is you got to begin with your what and then your why. Now, a lot of people, I know it's become real popular on your why, and your why is critical. But before you determine why you want something, you got to figure out what you want. Because the interesting thing is when you just go up to your why first and you don't know what it is you want, a lot of times you end up on the wrong mountain. And I can remember starting out and my why was really impacting people's lives. And my focus was on helping people and making money. I didn't realize that really what I wanted was not more money. Yeah, I wanted to help people, but what I really wanted was to accumulate money. Big difference. Big difference. In fact, that one decision is why I'm where I am today financially. I see so many of my peers that are so focused on income and they're rocking it from a standpoint of income, but they never are able to get off that treadmill because their focus is in the wrong mountain. They're not focused in on the accumulation of wealth so they can be generating that passive income so they can do what they want. So make sure you get really clear on what it is you want. So before you can create solid habits, you've got to know what you ultimately want to achieve, because the habits that you create are going to be dictated by where you're going and what you want to do. And not just kind of like what you want, but what do you really want? What is that burning feeling inside of you that you just want to achieve in your lifetime. And then you got to get clear on it. Now, what I see sometimes happen, and I'm just going to use weight instead of money. Even though you normally use money, I'm going to use weight. So let's say you want to lose 50 pounds. So the reality of it is most people will say, I'm going to set a realistic goal. I'm going to set a goal of losing 5 or 10 pounds. Well, really what we want to do is, you don't want to lose 5 or 10 pounds. You want to lose 50 pounds. So the problem is if you set a goal to lose 5 or 10 pounds, but you really want to lose 50, your limbic brain, your subconscious mind, and your prefrontal cortex, your conscious mind, are going to be completely diametrically opposed. They're not going to be in alignment. So what wins? Typically your limbic brain. The problem is that it's going to be a constant problem. And what happens is all the blocks that are still within you are going to surface, and you're going to go, I don't know why I'm not losing weight. Same thing's true if you want to accumulate wealth. I don't know why I can't get to $1 million net worth. Well, what's your ultimate goal? Is it 1 million? Is it 5 million? Is it 10 million? I don't care what your goal is. There's not a right or a wrong, but you got to get clear on it because we got to know what you want. And then you have to set your goal to achieve it. If your goal is 10 million net worth, you need to state, either if you're married, my spouse and I accumulate $10 million net worth with ease. If it's 1 million, change it to 1 million. You've got to know what it is you want before you can start determining why you want it. The other thing you got to understand is that money is a short-term motivator. This is a big one. This is one I did not get. Your why, especially your level 3 why, the purpose of why you're doing what you're doing, your passion for doing it, that is your long-term sustainer. So see, the problem is if you're just setting goals based on money because you don't have any, I mean, that's normal. The problem is once you start getting enough, it doesn't motivate you. Whereas when you really start understanding what your ultimate why is and the impact you're making, that's when you keep working even when you don't have to. You know, people are like, why do you work? It's like, see, my focus has always been on my passion and my purpose. So now that I've achieved my net worth goal, nothing's changed. The problem is that when you're not clear on your passion and your purpose, that's when you are just aiming to get to that number so you can quit. And it's kind of like you don't have that. And so then what happens is the energy along the way is not where you want it to be. You got to get really clear on what you want in your heart of hearts. And if you want a net worth of 5, 10, or 20 million, that's what you've got to figure out why. It's not the number of or the amount of money. Yeah, it's great to have a $10 million net worth or a $5 million net worth, but the issue is, why do you want it? That's going to be the driving force to let you get it. And it might seem counterintuitive, but my friends, you got to trust me on this one. I've seen it over and over again. So let's look at the different levels of your why. So your level 1 why is what I refer to as the me stage. It's like my house, my car, everything about me. And it's important, but the issue is it only takes us so far. The second level is what I refer to as the R stage or the my stage, like my family, my company, my business, my clients. And so it's me and them, us. And again, it's important and it takes us further, but it still doesn't take us to the ultimate, which is the level 3 why. This is what I refer to as the ultimate stage. It's our unstoppable stage. When you get really clear on what you're here to do, as Mark Twain said, the 2 most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you figure out why. And I remember reading that and going, wow. And when I realized that my calling is really to help, namely women, obviously if you're a man, great, I'm glad you're here, but mainly women really create financially free lives they love so that they're going to be okay when they're in retirement. And there are so many women who are living a great life now who are in for a very big surprise when they get ready to retire. And I can impact that. And even if I only impact a dozen people, I've still done more than 0, right? And so when we get clear on that, that's what keeps us going. That's why I still work, is really to have that impact. When you get clear on that, you'll become unstoppable. And it's a really exciting place to be. And what you'll find is once you reach your financial goals, you still want to do it because it's your calling. It's your reason for being on this earth. So powerful, so important. The next is you got to set your goals. So you want to state your goals in present tense. I am or I active verb. Avoid I will or avoid I am becoming. I am making. I earn, I make, I active verb or I am. Don't do the ing afterwards, and don't do I will. I have looked for so many planners to recommend to my mastermind and my community, and I finally created my own, the Success Planner. You can go to millionaireseries.com/success-planner, because I couldn't find one that knew how to properly state goals. In fact, one of the most successful planners out there, the gentleman that created it, I see in there, I will do this. When you say I will, that's not present tense. Your subconscious mind doesn't align with that. I was like, oh my gosh. You got to state your goals in positive, affirmative statements. Avoid negative words such as not or so. So I weigh X amount is much better than I'm not overweight, or why not me? Anytime you say a no or a not, your subconscious mind does not recognize that, and you're saying why me, or you're saying I am overweight. So you've got to avoid negative words. Set goals in simple, short, affirmative statements. I am an amazing mom is much better than I'm an amazing mom, wife, sister, daughter, niece, aunt, whatever it may be. I earn X amount in year is much better than I earn X amount and serve X amount of clients and X amount of clients and this and that. Short, simple, to the point is much better than some long dissertation, because the problem is your subconscious mind likes short and simple. What do you want? I earn X amount with these. And then you got to program it. To achieve your goal, your subconscious mind and your conscious mind must be in alignment. We talked about that. You got to affirm your goals, and you've got to also include your important high value activities. I am or I active verb. So whenever you are affirming a goal, or you're doing the power of 7, which we'll talk about in a minute, you want to have the most important goals and the most important high value activities. And you want to listen to those each day, especially when you're in the alpha or theta state. Right when you're going to sleep and right when you wake up is the optimal time. And then you want to write out 5 to 7 of your best or top, most important affirmative goals and high value activities. State those, listen to them, write them out, read them. Everything. You want to get into every modality, because that's what's going to program it into your mind. So powerful, so important. The next thing you got to do is you got to elevate your worth barometer. Now, next week we're diving into wealth barometer. I really encourage you to listen to that, and I'll link to that in the show notes. But your worth barometer dictates so much about what happens to you. Your self-worth is a direct tie to your net worth. So hopefully you're not just looking to set goals for some short-term little goal you want to achieve. You're looking at your bigger picture. Well, if you are, you understand that your self-worth has so much to do with your net worth. And not just net worth, but net worth and amazing life. The whole kit and caboodle. So your worth barometer combines your belief in your self-esteem. And when you have a healthy worth barometer, you do the work you need to do to achieve your goals. The bottom line. See, the interesting thing is that people that are below the grid are always complaining. They're blaming someone else. They're the victim. They're never wrong. They're always looking for some scapegoat. It's so easy to blame someone else. The problem is you just stay stuck there. Now, I think it's really important that you're paying attention to how you feel and you're listening to your intuition. So don't get me wrong on that. But the problem is when people are not in the driver's seat of their business and life, and their limbic brain is, they are constantly being drawn to some emotional calling that gets them distracted from what they truly want. So it's like, oh, I don't feel like it. Well, like today, I truly did not feel like doing these trainings today. Holidays are coming up. I did not feel like it. I went out last night, met one of my good girlfriends for happy hour, and I stayed up a little too late, and I just didn't feel like it. But I'm like, this is part of my ultimate goal. I've got to produce this. I got to do it. If I wouldn't be in the driver's seat of my business in life, I would have rationalized and justified it and not done it. And then I would have been like, oh my gosh, now what am I going to do? Now I'm behind the 8 ball. I'm affecting everyone else's schedule on my team. That's what I'm talking about. Not letting your limbic brain govern your life, but letting what you truly want, your ultimate why, govern what you do. We attract people at the same level of energy where we are. So if you're attracting amazing clients or amazing friendships or whatever it is, then great. If you're not, you got to work on your worth barometer. The worth barometer is measured on a grid. Level 3 is the highest level. This is can do, will do, positive energy. You're focused on a solution. Below the grid is blame, worry, anxiety, fear. Those people are just toxic. If you meet somebody that truly is below the grid, now let's get clear. I lived below the grid for the majority of my life because I didn't even know there was a grid. That doesn't count. Once a person knows there's a grid, like now you know there is and you live below it, doesn't work. But before you know it, a lot of people do. But once you start understanding that you're not going to get to your goal, hopefully your goal is to have some financial freedom and a great life, you're not going to get there unless you're living above the grid. Now, you might get money, but you have money in a miserable life. That's probably the worst scenario. I mean, it's better having money than not, but having a miserable life, wondering if this is the last breath you take because you haven't taken care of your health, or you're going through your fourth divorce, so now instead of having the money you really plan on having, you have a fourth of it. I mean, none of that's good. So make sure you really work on living above the grid. Next week in episode 175, which I'll link to in the show notes, we dive deep into the worth barometer and we talk about the grid. So stay tuned for that. But the next thing is to visualize it. The goal is to see what you want in your mind's eye. What do you really want? Close your eyes and visualize your dream life or your goal. Ideally, create a visualization book and or board. Now, I share the story that my second home, which I've owned now for 20 some years, I wanted a cabin so badly. And I just could see it in my mind. And then I created this visualization book with this house. It just, when it was lit up, you'd look at it, it was just unbelievable. Now, my cabin happens to be up on a hill, but when I walk at night and the lights are on, I just get goosebumps because it's exactly what I visualized for 5 years. Then my beach home, I visualized for 10 years. Now, what was so fascinating about my beach home is that I didn't put it in any visualization book or board. I just kept seeing it. And it was interesting because when I walked into this place, it was a condo because I wanted a condo. If you know anything about living on the beach, you don't want a house. All you'll spend is time is fixing it. But when I walked in, it was like everything I had visualized. And now, where we're building our dream home, it's literally more than I could ever imagine. I wanted just a view of a mountain. I'm going to have a view of a mountain from an entire panoramic view. That's what happens when we're able to visualize it. Amazing things happen. So let's look at a couple tips. The first thing I want you to get is less is more. I wish I would have really gotten that because I'm on this mode of trying to become more of a minimalist, which is kind of hard when you live between 3 homes and they're big homes. And I don't need that. In fact, I was with my son shopping for clothes, and I'm saying, oh, this is so cute. I don't need it. Like, no, I don't need any more stuff. Less is more. The goal is to simplify our life because the more simple our life is, the more we can focus on what we want to do. For me, I like spending time in nature. The highlight of my life right now is going out to our mountain lots and working on them. They've not been cleaned up. There's glass everywhere. There's tin everywhere. They just haven't been maintained in ever. And so just going out there and getting them cleaned up is just so enjoyable. And being able to be out there in nature, just look at the mountains, look at the rocks, look at the sunset. It's unbelievable. But that's what you got to get clear on. What motivates you? Where do you feel at your best? I had a happy hour with one of my good friends, and I said, what do you do to decompress when you get stressed out? She goes, oh my God, today just everything was going on. They just bought another company, and a lot of things were happening. And she goes, I just took my dogs, and she backs up to the preserve too. She walked out. She goes, I went for a walk. I just instantly felt better. See, that's what you got to figure out. What makes you feel just right, just really grounded, and just like you could deal with anything that comes up, like you're a willow tree and it just doesn't affect you because you're so grounded in who you are and your values. What can you add to your life that won't complicate it, that will even simplify it and make it better? Easier is always the better choice. Now, that doesn't mean it's simple, but the more we can focus in on making things as easy and simple as possible, the better. And then you want to make sure and review your goals, ideally monthly, quarterly, semi-annually, and then annually, so you stay on track. So many people set goals and then never look at them. Now, one thing I will say about my net worth goal, which I just achieved this year, and I was like, wow, I thought I would achieve that probably when I was 100. I mean, I was like, very unlikely I would have ever achieved it, and here I've achieved it. But you don't always have to do that. You have to state it. Jim and I accumulate how much with ease, and the rest is history. But it does help if you do it regularly. And for years I did it regularly. It's just that I hadn't done it in a while. And so it can still work even if you don't do it. All right, a recap. What do you want and why? Start with what and then get to why. Set your goals. I am or I act a verb. No I wills, no I am going to. Program it. You got to get it into your subconscious mind. Elevate your worth barometer. Every day, my friends, work on your worth barometer. I am enough is a great affirmative statement. Visualize it. You got to see it. You got to see what is it going to look like. When I go out to my lot, all I do is I sit there for a while and I just see, like, this is what I'm going to be looking at from my office, because I'm going to move my office in there. This is what I'm going to be able to see. Do I want to look at mountains on this side, or do I want to look at city view? It's just unbelievable, but that's where you got to get. And you can create that in your house, the house you have right now. You don't need to be buying some mountainside lot to do it. I can remember traveling over to Europe, and I was at the Mediterranean. I posted something. I said, "Oh, life's good," and the woman was like, "My life would be good too if I was over in the Mediterranean. I'm here in Podunk, Iowa, taking my kids to the water park." And it was really interesting, because at that point in my life, I already kind of got a lot of this, and I'm like, it's no different whether you're there or here. It's what energy you're bringing to that situation. If I was in Podunk, Iowa, taking my kids to the water park, I'd be having a good time. And it wouldn't have been any different than if I'm over in Europe on the Mediterranean. It's just what we believe to be true. So don't forget that. That's a big one. All right, today's episode is brought to you by our very own Results Formula Template Guide. You can go to millionaireseries.com/RFT. Let's face it, my friends, if you want results, you want to achieve your goals, you've got to learn how to achieve results, how to remove those money blocks, how to remove those success blocks, how to create what you want so you can manifest it. Practical manifestation, bringing it into your life to make it real. millionaireseries.com/RFT. It's an amazing guide. So for today's show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/174. For all show notes, go to millionaireseries.com/WLI. Thank you so much for attending my goal setting process. I'm Annette Ba'u, founder of millionaireseries.com and the Millionaire Insider Academy. Now go download the guide. I want you, even if you don't have time right now to do it, go download it, millionaireseries.com/RFT. And then if you don't have time right now to start on your plan, go and schedule it. Just schedule an hour next week. You'll be so glad you did. People always come to me and say, how does your mastermind get such unbelievable results? They get it by getting really clear on what they want and by creating results. So I'm Annette Ba'u, host of the Millionaire Insider. All international copyrights are reserved. Bye now.